All right, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I have a subject today I want to talk about. I actually talked about it on my other broadcast, but did not realize that people on this track cannot get that particular information. So I wanted to do something over here, especially since we are in crisis in America. We are in crisis in America, right here in the city of Elizabeth City, North Carolina. We have another situation. Who would ever think that on the heels of our George Floyd victory, Chauvin being found guilty, that we would still be talking about things like this. There's a growing demand for body cam footage in the deadly shooting in Elizabeth City to be loose. And there is just so much happening. We could not even celebrate the actual happenings of the Chauvin case before we had all kinds of situations, all kinds of circumstances, Ohio, North Carolina, where there have been other police, sheriff, whatever you want to call it, shootings by people that we expect to protect us. But instead, they are hunting us. It's as if a situation has been created and somebody has said they're placing a bounty on the heads of black men because they are being killed in the streets. This last situation actually makes no sense. And so, right here in Elizabeth City, North Carolina, without the precedence of the risk of the officer's life, because the gentleman was not putting in jeopardy the life of the sheriffs. He was not shooting at them. He was not doing anything to kill them. He was actually running away, which means that he was actually shot in the back. Running away, shot in the back. Running away, shot in the back. Running away, shot in the back. This gentleman now with 7 police. There are 7 police who are actually on probation now, and those 7 police or administrative leave, I call it probation, but it's administrative leave, who are actually now trying to explain, and after 4 days, there is still no showing of the tape, and Andrew Brown Jr. Is now dead, and he dies from a wound to his head. He dies with a bullet in his back, and the information is being loose, but the right information is not being loose. So we need to know now about Andrew Brown Jr. right here in Elizabeth City, North Carolina. The sheriffs were serving a warrant on this 40-year-old black man who was killed while driving away, shot in the back. But the fatal shot is to his head. So now the children have lost their father, mother has lost her son, a family have lost their loved one, and Sheriff Tommy Wooten is now being called into question because of his 7 sheriffs. They've been asked to release video, to allow the family to watch video, and nothing is happening. Something is happening when we could not even celebrate the landmark case of George Floyd. We could not celebrate what was happening, and we indicated and felt like and celebrated that this was a turnaround. This was something new. This was going to cause us to move in a different direction. America was actually trying to right wrongs they have done for years in the way of hangings, lynchings, and all those kind of things. But the black man has always been the target. We got to understand this. Kenneth Clark and so many other sociologists and psychologists have already looked at this to show you that the black man is wanted. He has a wanted poster for him. He does not get treated fairly in the workplace. He does not get treated fairly in the government. He does not get treated fairly. And when I sit and look at all of these men who are in the Senate, and those that are in the Congress that are white men, and I see how they treat the George Floyd Act, and I see how they treat the all other acts that have to do with fair elections that deal with black people. They are almost like the Klan with no hoods. And I want to give Joe Manchin's number out right here on my broadcast, 202-224-3954. And every African American needs to call him. Every one of you need to plead with him to produce legislation to stop looking like a Klansman. When I drive through West Virginia, yes, all I see is Donald Trump and all I see is things like that. But something is wrong when you cannot pass legislation for all people. I know you represent West Virginia, but it is time to pass legislation that is good for all people. That's anybody in the Senate. That's from the top to the bottom. It is time to make some changes in America. When black people are being hunted, we need justice and we need accountability. We're tired of being hashtags, and it's going to take everybody. They would sometimes choose a black woman before they actually choose a black man. So you have a advantage, and the advantage is a sexual advantage, a body advantage. But we need everybody to join together in the fight so that the black man is treated like he's supposed to be treated. Black women, you got to protect your man. You can't be domineering and dominating and killing him at home and killing him in the street. There's so much already killing him. There's so much working against him. There's so many people trying to destroy him. There's so many people after him that don't want him to be successful. They want him to die in the street. They want him to die of frustration, depression. They want them to die of alcohol any kind of way they can, besides them shooting us in the street. But we've got to demand, it's time now for every black American to hit the streets and to begin to protest so that something can be done about what America is experiencing. We learned last year the only thing they understand is our protest. The only thing that they understand is our hitting the streets. The only thing they understand is our standing in front of buildings, holding signs, making speeches. So we've got to we've got to help them to understand. I say to them, were it your children, you would be acting totally different. Were it happening in your community, were it happening to your sons, were it happening to your daughters, were it happening to your family members, you would be treating this whole situation totally different. The John Lewis Voting Act and all those things are necessary for us to have a successful America. And it's time for Mitch McConnell and any of those people that are within the Senate to understand that it's time to do something to save America. America is dying. America is destroying itself. Do you not realize, and I believe that this is going to be released with the statistical data that's going to be released today by those who have taken the census, that there is a decreasing of white people And there is a rising number of African Americans as well as people of color, Indians, Mexicans, and you will see that by numbers, our numbers are now dominating the population. You will also see that this is a time where interracial couples have produced more children than any other time. And when you take your definition that you give, these people are considered, because of one drop of black blood, as blacks. So now we are becoming the dominant race. We're becoming the dominant party. We're becoming the dominant people. And so it's time for us to pass legislation and laws and things that are going to help everybody. We thought that this verdict that was given in the Chauvin case that found him guilty was going to be the first step for Americans, but instead, we've had 4 people to become hashtags, 4 more black people to be shot in the street. And, you know, one is the filming of the young lady in Ohio. We say, well, she had a knife and she was lunging at the other young ladies. The question is about excessive force. Why was excessive force used in this particular case? And why did this young lady not have the privilege of living? Why was she not shot in the legs? Or why was she not? And they say, well, we're trained to shoot in the mid area. We're trained to shoot in the areas that are near the heart, which are killing areas. But why was a taser not used? Why was not some other type of training given? So we've got all of these things to deal with. And African Americans, black people, are tired. We're tired losing our children. We're tired of losing our brothers. We're tired of losing our uncles. We're tired of losing in senseless killings, because the black man has now become an endangered species. He's actually being sought out. He's actually being hunted. He's actually being looked for. 7 police. The young man is running away. We have his tag number, his address. We have information about him. We might not get him today. So let's kill him. And he was not endangering the life of any of those sheriffs. He was basically trying to flee. And I know that there are some of you, because I have worked at the Guilford County Sheriff's Department, who look back and say things like, well, he was fleeing. You know, y'all not looking at, oh, she was stabbing somebody. She was trying to, in the act of stabbing somebody. And we look at these cases, and I know each case must be looked at from an individual situation. But why does they always lead to killing? Why do they lead to the extinction of the African American man? Something is wrong, and we've got to think different. We've got to act different. We've got to operate different. We've got to do different, because something is wrong. If we believe in the creed that all men have been created equal, they have been endowed by their creator, then it's time for us to recognize that there are 2 justice systems in America. And we do not treat everybody the same. But something has got to happen in our system. There must be change. And change begins with us protesting. It begins with us flooding the streets. It begins with us calling our congressional people. It begins with us calling our Senate and letting them know what is on our mind. It's time for us to do something. And it's important for us to look at all of these cases, look at all of these situations, and to demand justice. Release the films. That law should be changed, because in North Carolina, that there is a law that ties up them from actually